Hello, everyone. Hi, everyone. This is Josh, just coming in here. This is actually my first and a half live stream. I started about 20 seconds ago. Had some issues. Kind of don't know what I'm doing here. But I think it's a really good thing just for me just to just step out. Because the thing is, if you never try something, you can never perfect it where you want it to go. So whatever you're doing right now in your life, just step out and try. Even right now, for me to be doing a live stream, this is very spontaneous. I was sitting there and said, you know what, let me try something new. Because at the center of everything, my reason for having a channel called Just Frugal Me is pretty much because it's not so much about being cheap. Because when you're being cheap, you are only cheating yourself. But to be frugal is to be resourceful, to start looking at not let me just spontaneously spin or let me go out there and just like eat rice and beans, beans and rice, so they call it. However, because nobody really want to, it's all about planning. This is a perfect time for money saving. Absolutely. Because one of the things that really got me into even living a frugal lifestyle, when I mean frugal, I'm not talking about cheap. It's just making sure that you're budgeting for what's coming next. Because a lot of times it's sad that so many people go out there, they will plan everything except for their finances. They will say, well, we're going to go to the beach, and they will start planning this road trip with their friends 3 years in advance, but they don't know where their next meal or how they're going to pay for the next meal the same day. So making sure that you having a budget and a roadmap, it's just pretty much simple as that. You want to make sure that you have a roadmap, because when you create a budget, that is just telling you where your money is going. Shut off at home foreclosures. Absolutely. But one thing that I feel is that we shouldn't live in fear, because fear is your worst enemy. However, use common sense. But I know even today in 2020 that common sense sometimes isn't always so common. But it's just one of those things that you have to use your common sense. I mean, if you looked at the news, people are still, before Florida governor said no more people on the beach. I mean, to me, that's just being foolish that you have a pandemic going on. Not saying that we should be in fear, but if you know that there is something highly common sense is extinct, trust me. Um, it's just the basic things. I mean, to me, it's like even crazy that the government have to tell people to wash their hands before people decide to wash their hands. I mean, I've been going through my whole life where people have said, wash your hands 20 seconds, make sure that it's hot water. Um, at my job, I have a soap dispenser inside of my room. However, I had to go find a custodian because they wasn't putting soap in the soap dispenser. But I mean, it's just sad and kind of crazy at this point that people have to get on television to tell people to wash their hands. To me, that's just nasty. That people think that, like, oh, that's a new revelation. Wash your hands. I mean, like, people should have been washing their hands all along. But yeah, yeah. So yeah, Yeah, but back to even budgeting, that you have to budget accordingly, because if you don't budget, you know, then whenever you run out of money, you're like, oh my goodness, it's an emergency. But it's like that old saying that one person's emergency is not somebody else's problem. I know that sounds kind of insensitive, but that's the importance of making sure that you're budgeting as well. Oh, absolutely. Like my plans, my wife and I, we were set. Well, we're still set to celebrate our 10th year anniversary. We were heading down to the Bahamas, taking all of our family along with us. And currently, well, recently, that's something that we just had to cancel. So I know that all the plans right now, like we don't know what's going on. My daughter, she's about to celebrate her ninth birthday party, and at the same time, I was just thinking like maybe we need to have a virtual birthday party on Zoom, because yeah, it's just kind of crazy how everything just took a big turn all of a sudden. That things were on the up and up, and it's like one day it's like, hey, the world gonna shut down for a few months. 18 months. We don't know. So, and two again, that show and that really tells us how fast things can really turn on a dime. Um, you know, yeah. So that's why it's always good to have that plan in place. Oh yes, Keisha. I read an article today from the local newspaper that they just told people like it's not a good idea to go to the park. I mean, that like Zugo Mugo. I'm sorry if I messed that up. Zugo Mugo. Am I saying that right? After this, absolutely. Well, okay, Zugo Mugo. Yeah, absolutely. Like any place that you can save money, I always think that's just great. And two, even with the events that's happening today, that's showing how fragile the 9 to 5 is anyway. Why it's always good, like the old saying says, that you shouldn't really put all of your eggs in one basket. That it's good to diversify even your income, just like have different sources and streams of income coming in. One source of income that I had, it was a part time, was Uber. But now I still do DoorDash and Uber Eats. But it was about a year and a half ago, someone got in my car and they were just like sneezing and coughing, thinking, and keeping in mind that I have two girls. And I was like, do I really want my kids sitting in something where somebody just seemed like that's where the pandemic actually started. But yeah, but like Uber, you have a lot of different sources, and also I have some videos on just different ways that you can make money, especially at home, because right now a lot of people are looking for like ways to make money. It's sad that like it's no one's fault. It's not like somebody who just screwed up at work and next thing you know that they was like, oh, everybody is out. I mean, like for real, it's like one of those things, and you probably experienced it too. One day everything was fine, the next day it's like, okay, go home. And that really sucked for the people who are working hourly or working working not even hourly, but just jobs that pay by the job. Um, and now that their income is being squeezed. And I find it real fascinating, not getting into politics, but honestly would be for Corona. Yep. It's one of those things. It's one of those things that knowledge is power, and for China to sit on knowledge for 2 months, where it could have been like, I would even eliminate it, but I don't even would go that far. But it could have been contained so much more, but they just didn't say anything. But just my heart goes out to those people who are that that's taking a big financial hit from things being shut down. Because I, and like I was saying, is not really, not trying to sound too political here, but for the average person out there that's struggling just to make ends meet, not knowing how how things are going to get paid, or knowing where the next meal is coming from, or childcare and everything else. And one of the first things that they're doing in Washington right now is trying to find bailouts for these big companies who were they who which they were already taking a lot of their profits reinvesting into the stock market. So it's one of those things where I feel that if you really want to make an impact on having a stimulus package, that it should go to the people. I mean, I'm not big on socialism, so don't think I'm sitting here preaching socialism. But if you're going to do a bailout, bail out the average guy, not these people that's already making 30, 40, 50 billion dollars already, and they're recording in profits. Then you're going to come back out, and why you're still trying to struggle to say, well, will the average person get $1,200, $600 or nothing? I mean, I mean, yeah, I mean, like, the average person, this isn't their fault. I know it goes back to China covering up stuff that could have been put out there a long time ago. When I say a long time ago, that's a few months. But yes, let me get back to the chat here. What's up, brother? Hey, what's going on, Hitman? It's just honestly, well, me personally, I should put a little disclaimer down there that I'm not a financial expert. I'm just a ordinary guy. That's just knowledge is power, right? But one thing that I'm doing personally, that when the stock market is going down, with me, I already started putting just dripping money. I'm just dripping $50 here and there into the different mutual funds, and also the index funds, because the index fund is going the direction that the stock market is going. So if a company is in the index fund and it goes belly up, they kick that company out and they put something else in there. But I find it fascinating that most millionaires are made during times of recession. And I told myself already, told myself before I even knew that a crash, or I don't want to call it a crash, but that the economy was going to slow down. I wanted to be in a position where, while everybody else is selling and freaking out, that I can start investing a little bit of money here and there, because it's crazy that people just like freak out. But it's like the old saying goes, that only the people that get hurt on the roller coaster are the ones that jump off. So when, to me, even I'm not no like billionaire or millionaire or anything, like just an ordinary guy. But hi, how are you doing today? Thank you so much for joining in with us. But it's one of those things that whenever the market is down, companies are for sale. And this is kind of like one of the best times to get in, because nobody really know where the bottom is. So that's why I'm not just taking $1,000, $2,000 and dumping it on the stock market. I wish I was in that position, but I couldn't risk right now just taking all of my savings and putting it in. So that's why I'm just dropping like $50 here and there on the stock market. However, I'm not I never invest in individual stocks. However, I do look at the index fund and also different mutual funds that have a good track record over 10, 15, 20, 25 years. Um, I'm just sitting here reading a little bit. Uh, oh my goodness, relying on China to hold up the economy. No, we cannot rely on, and truth be told, I wouldn't even rely on any government to make sure that my family is taken care of. Again, that goes back into just being frugal, being resourceful, seeing what's out there. I started getting even into YouTube. If y'all don't mind, just give this video a thumbs up and share it. That would be awesome. But even with my daughters, and I was mentioning earlier that even during this time that we now people are starting to realize how fragile the 9 to 5 market is. Um, so it's great to start looking around for additional sources and streams of income. Um, my wife and I, we just got into you should hold on to your cash for right now. Absolutely. And whenever I say drop $50 here and there on the stock market, that's if you're in position to do so. But especially if you are unsure what your financial future hold, absolutely. If you don't have an emergency fund, I would say right now to build your emergency fund, especially if your job is like a question mark right now, to make sure that you can cover your living expenses. So, like, it's one of those things right now. If you have creditors and things like that, I would put those people on hold because my family will come first. So to make sure that the lights stay on, that their tummies are fed, and we have a roof over our head, those are the main things. But if those things are done and you do have a lot of people say 3 to 6 months of expenses, my thing is I always tell myself and people 6 to 12 months of expenses because you just never know what's going to happen. So especially if you're in that 6 to 12 month bracket, if you can take that $50, like I said, I'm not giving financial advice, but that's just something I'm doing personally is taking $50 here, $50 there, and just dripping it out there on the mutual funds because what goes down comes up. And if you look at the span of the economy, the US economy and the stock market, it goes up, it goes down. It's like a roller coaster ride. So if it's going down, you know, even if I just say, okay, I'm just going to do $50 and leave it, that $50 might end up being $500 in a few months or year or so. So, but yeah, resigning, absolutely. If you're not in position to put anything out there, first thing is to make sure that your family is taken care of. But that's most important. I'm a family first type guy. And as you can actually see from my shirt, super dad. So, you know, I'm a proud dad. I have 2 girls. If you saw on any of my videos, my daughters are on there. You know, that's why I do what I do is because of my daughters. And yeah, and I really never even thought about being on YouTube. But the reason I got on YouTube is because it was just so much stuff out there that people wasn't cognizant or aware of, and it's one of those things. I feel that in order to add value to my life, that you pour into someone else's life. So I'm not one of those selfish type of people. Because I believe that what goes around comes around. And when you're a blessing to others, others will tend to be a blessing to you. So, yeah. All right. So, even looking at my why, Just when I made my why, your why is the reason that you're living, the reason that you do what you do every day. And that's what my why is just for my daughters and my family and my wife. Can't forget my wife. Um, yeah, but like I was saying, allergies just horrible. I'm down here in Georgia, and these trees. I was actually out cutting some trees the other day, and the pollen just flying all over the place. However, recently, even before this economic slowdown and pandemic, my wife and I, we just got into doing more e-commerce because I was telling her to work 40 and 50 years to live somebody else's dream. That's just not okay. And even now that this pandemic has started, that's even opening up my eyes even more that I should have another. Yeah, it's allergies. It's allergies here. Nothing but allergies. But yeah, and I feel that it's quite funny as well. Well, not funny. It's never funny to go through something like this, but it happened just. I mean, even with this Corona scare and coronavirus, I know a few people personally that has been affected by this. And when I mean affected by it, their parents, their brother, and one person even that they were tested positive. However, it just is at a bad time. Well, it will always be at a bad time. Don't get me wrong here, but even for it to happen during uh, allergy season, I went out. We needed to get some essential things from Costco, and I had on my mask more so to keep the pollen out. It was a long line outside of Costco. Then I just sniffed because I guess the pollen was still going through. The guy behind, no, the guy in front of me, you would have thought that I just let off the biggest fart or something. I mean, I sniffed one time, his eyes got big, and probably about 2 minutes later, he left the line. I'm not sure if that was because of me or the line, but yeah. So, but like I was saying, it's a good time for you to start looking at additional sources of income as well. My wife and I, we just started this e-commerce, and because, like I was telling my wife, that you never know. Well, sorry, I was reading the chat here, but I was telling my wife that it's not right for me to go to work 8 to 10 hours every day to look at my boss and come home and just want to go to sleep and not look at my family. So, and especially that the life expectancy rate in the U.S. is 78 years old. A lot of people work now until they're like 68. Even I work with some people that they are like 72, 73. And the thing is, I don't want to work my whole life for somebody else, forsaking my family, when you can start your own stream of income and work from home and still have that time with family. I took off. I took off work. I took off work a few weeks ago to have lunch with my daughters at school, and you would have thought that I told them that we were going to Disney. So it's even those little moments that make you really feel like family first. Right now, I'm hurting bad. Sorry, man. My heart go out to you. Are you in an area where that restaurants can do delivery or one of the areas where it's just no business at all. And that's why I feel that the bailouts that they're fighting about in Washington, that it should go more. They should have a small business bailout versus a big corporation bailout. Honestly, because a lot of those big corporations, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them that their CEOs are living these lavish lifestyles while people with small businesses are struggling. So like I'm not very political, well, talk very political, but it's one of those things to like call your representative and like I think it's why well hold on. Let me say it like this. If they're gonna do a small business loan program and a big business industry big industry bailout, it should be backwards. Why don't you let the American Airlines take out a low interest loan and bail out these small businesses that are that's really the heart of the American economy. But yeah, so that's one issue that I'm having right now with the stuff that's going on in Washington, that they're not looking out for the average person. It's like, okay, they gave $5 million to my campaign, so we're going to make sure that they're bailed out. That's the way that it shouldn't work that way, should I say? So, yeah, yeah. So, is anyone else affected by financially by the pandemic? Why I'm keep saying that pandemic that's going on right now, because it's one of those things where you have it's we are called to, well, let me say it like this. It's not our fault, especially like an anonymous hitman, like where he didn't wake up and make a bad business decision. It was more so that one day waking up and just like, whoa, this has changed. Like even for me, like I've been out of work. Well, yeah, I haven't been to work in the last week, a little over a week now, where we were getting ready for a lot of big things happening at work and a lot of those things that I was spearheading. And it was just one day that we're there. I get a phone call. Next thing, I'm sitting at home. So, so that's why I really say that the bailout should be a small business bailout and let the big industries have the loans, because it's going to be so much harder for a small business to recoup than a huge multi-million and a lot of instances $1 billion industry. Yes, because you never know if it's allergies or the virus. Well, the good thing, well, not a good thing, but the thing is, even someone like me that's had allergies my entire life. Hey, how are you doing, Coach Sure, Cherie? How's everything going with you? Yeah, welcome in. We're just having conversation here. Um, but yes, Keisha, yeah, you just never know But the good thing is I know the allergies, but I was sitting in a congregation the other Sunday, and my daughter's friend sneezed at church, and about a good 50 people rolled their eyes at her. Oh, yes, this is my first live, very spontaneous first live. Matter of fact, um, I was, my wife and I, a few weeks ago, we started a e-commerce business, and I was online trying to figure out what I was doing with that. And as I was about to get off, I was like, you know what? I've been very hesitant to do a live stream because I was like, I wouldn't know what to say, what to do. It was a lot of anxiety, like, how would it sound? Um, but yeah, I was like, it's one of those things that you will never grow if you don't try. So, yes, this is my first live stream. Been at it now. Well, actually, I would say this is my second. My first one was about 20 seconds. I said hello. And after that, I went offline because I was like, ugh, how did that sound? But then I got the courage, like on the Wizard of Oz, I had to get that courage going. Then I was like, hey, let me log back on and see how it go. So everything is well. How's everything with you, Coach? All right. Oh yes, absolutely. Just go for it. I'm going to make sure. Yeah, if you just want to drop in the chat, just a real quick description about what your page is about, I don't mind. After this, I will make sure I head over there and check it on out. Um, um, well, I really hope everything work out for you, anonymous hitman. Um, absolutely, because I know. Well, I don't want to say I know, but I can really understand. Well, can only imagine that being a entrepreneur with a small business, it has to be hard right now. Especially, I know when you. I can only imagine, especially being a small business, that you may even have a closer connect with your employees, and so it I know it just seemed like it would just be challenging to put wrap your mind around about what they must be going through, because as a small business you probably already feel the implications of not being there. So that's why I really support like a bailout with the small business versus the big corporation, because honestly the world is going through hell right now with companies being closed, but those CEOs are probably out skiing or out on the Mediterranean right now. So they're not really connecting in with their. Whenever I say they, I'm talking very general here. I know there may be some people out there that's really connected in with their employees as a large corporation, but I know and can only imagine as a small business owner what it would have to be like. What was your topic before I entered? Um, before you came in, we talked a little bit about. I was talking about my why I decided to do a YouTube channel. Uh, we've just been talking how the pandemic has been affecting us in our life, financially, emotionally, um, just along those guidelines and the importance of realizing how fragile a 9 to 5 job, that's in quotation marks, can be. So it's always good to have another source of income coming in. I would say that that would be a fair assessment of some of the things that I talked about, and I don't know how it came up, but oh yes, I do. But um, absolutely, I can only imagine how hard it would be to stay afloat, especially when business isn't coming in. It's not like small businesses are sitting on millions of dollars in reserve like the big corporations are. That's why I'm just like flabbergasted that it seemed like the top priority in Washington right now is bailing out those big guys, when you have the everyday small guy that's they're struggling, um, where a majority of America works for a small business. So, in order to bail out, have a small business bailout where small businesses can apply for those grants, which would affect more people. More people would be affected and been stayed afloat, not only by the business, but if a majority of Americans are employed by small business, to me, that's where you really put your resources in to make sure that those businesses are staying afloat and not the big corporations that's, like I said, their CEOs are out on the Mediterranean or in the Atlas right now. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, and the crazy part is, that's it's even the uncertainty, how uncertain it is, about how long this is going to last. How are we going to get out of this? And you already have schools now in North Carolina, Kansas, and Virginia. I think I read today that they already said for the kids not to come back until like the fall. So it's like now you not only having this pandemic going for that long, but now it's even putting an additional burden on. Hi, Wyatt. But it's even putting that additional burden on people to make sure that they have coverage. When I say coverage, I mean childcare, for their kids, because like the news Wyatt out of North Carolina today, I read that their teachers were told to stay out until May. Oh wow, everybody from North Carolina. Whoa, me too. But I'm in Georgia right now. But that's where I'm originally from. But even in North Carolina, they told the teachers to stay out until May the 15th. And so it's just like, what do I do with my kids? Not saying that the schools are a babysitting thing, but like it wasn't something that was planned for. So it's an additional burden on those people who still have to go out there and make a living, and that's with their jobs. Absolutely. Um, I saw on Facebook today on one of my friends' pages that said, "Stay home, that saves a life." Because the more that people are still going out there, the longer it's going to continue because it's the more that the virus is being transmitted to new people. So it's one of those things that people would honestly like just 2 weeks. I mean, this has been going on for about 2 weeks now. If everyone took heed versus, and I'm not saying act in fear because fear is your worst enemy. Because if when you act in fear, you start making irrational, should I say, decisions about everything. But it's just like what we said earlier, that you just have to really love that. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was reading at the same time. But you just can't, you gotta just love having that good old fashioned common sense. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I went to Johnson C. Smith right there in Charlotte. So JCSU. Yes. So Charlotte is a really nice place. I'm actually originally from the Charlotte area as well, so that's pretty cool. Absolutely. And it really doesn't help. Like like I'm really not a political guy at all, but it would really help if we really had some guidance going through this. But I know that we're working on uncharted waters and territory. However, it just you got to, in order to get people through, you just need a strong leader as well to ensure people. Because when your leaders get up there and say, "I don't know what I'm doing," that only create more panic. And yeah, and that's why people are out there hoarding up toilet paper. I mean, just never thought it was going to ever be a thing. But that people would go out there and hoard toilet paper. Here in Georgia, somebody got stabbed over a case of water. It was one case of water there. I mean, that was left, and that they start fighting over it. Somebody pulled out a knife and stabbed the other person. It's like, what the heck? If you I went out right whenever they start shutting down everything, and there was 6 gallons of water left. I grabbed two. The lady beside me grabbed four, and she asked like, "Hey, you is it okay if I take that water?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" Because the thing is, water falls from the sky. I know that sounds nasty. Water flows from the tap. And the thing is, why are you trying to kill somebody over water? I mean, that's just dumb. I mean, that's that common sense thing again. Where if it was that bad, you just get some water, boil it, make sure you boil out all the contaminants and let it go, put it in the jar, and you have some water. I mean, to me, water is not losing your life off of. Just saying. So, but just to have that type of stuff that's going on right now, that yeah, it's just crazy. And but good leadership, like I said, it's nothing political that I'm saying, but it's just one of those things that good leadership actually makes the difference. Where somebody can go up there and say, "We know that people are hurting, and we have a plan in place to help out the little guy." So yeah, so now you have people that's stabbing each other for water. That's not cool. So, and sorry if you one of the people out there that's stabbing people for water. I got news for you. Don't stab people for water. That's not cool. You can't get friends that way. Just saying. Oh, yep. Lincoln. I love it. Where HBCU life all started. Yeah, you have to love your HBCUs. Yeah. So Wow, going into 44 minutes here. I'm just playing along, trying to see. Like I said, this is my first live chat, so I'm honestly clicking on different stuff. Oh, okay, now I can see who's here. At first, I didn't know who was in the chat, so I'm still just fishing my way around here. That's absolutely right. But yeah, but like I said, before they start bottling water, I mean, people still made a way to get water too. So I just don't see. Oh no, just YouTube, just on the YouTube platform right now. Um, I'm not even sure how to do it multiple on. I heard of a website before called AnyCam or MiniCam or something like that, where you can broadcast there, then it throw it out to different platforms. But starting a YouTube live was on one of my New Year's goals. I don't do resolutions because yeah, but that was a goal that I had this year was to actually log on and say, "Hey, I'm live." So I guess today is the day for that. Um, if you never been on my channel before, I really thank y'all for coming. I'm not logging off yet. I was trying to give it an hour, but just to tell you a little bit about my channel real quick. I guess this is my public service announcement part. My channel is pretty much about making money, saving money, and enjoying life on a budget. Where being frugal, my motto, my slogan is being frugal is not about being cheap, it's about being resourceful. Because a lot of times a lot of people relate to being frugal as being cheap, and trust me, I'm not a cheap person. I like quality. But in order to make sure that you are having quality on a budget, not taking out debt and loans, it's pretty much creating a budget. Your budget is your roadmap to reach your destination. Because if you were going to take a trip, you would want to know where you were going by a GPS, right? So the thing is, my whole channel is pretty much just saying plan accordingly. There are ways to save money, make money, invest your money. And if you want to go on a trip, I wouldn't advise that right now. But the thing is like if you want to go on a trip, take the trip to Jamaica. My wife and I, we were planning a 10-year anniversary that was going to be in July that we just canceled. But we were heading down to Jamaica, the whole family, for about $3,500. I mean, some people's like, oh, $3,000, but I mean that's airfare all inclusive for four of us for like 8 days. So it's one of those things that you just want to plan accordingly on just so that's what the channel is about. Just want to plan accordingly because if you don't plan, if you especially well, let me say it like this: if you don't tell your money what to do, your money will tell you what to do. And the thing is, I see your money as being employees. Your goal is to go out and make more money, and people get all scared and like, oh, he's talking about capitalism here. But the thing is, your goal is to go out and make money in order for those dollars to tell those dollars what to do. In other words, that might have been kind of confusing. So the thing is, you're there to make money. However, when your dollar come in, that dollar's assignment is to go out and make you another dollar. So now we're talking about passive income. So that's a lot of my channel too is talking about different ways to make money passively. Like I said already, that the last few days and weeks now has really taught us and showed us that 9 to 5 isn't as reliable as you think it is. So just different ideas out there to make money and to save money, because you can't save your way into prosperity. However, you do want to have money in savings. Like, so different ways to save money and make money smart decisions. And also, like I said, enjoy your life on the budget. So if you think that that's kind of cool, um, I'm just trying to going to slide this in here as well. Go on and hit that subscribe button, and that way you won't miss anything. Okay, back to the chat. Absolutely. I'm reading here what Wyatt was saying, that people just need to be pointed in the right direction, and that's one of the reasons why last year I said, you know what, I'm just going to do a YouTube channel. And believe it or not, I'm actually a musician. So I had, and I still have videos out there of me playing the piano, singing, doing different things, dealing with music. But I have always been uh, pretty, pretty much looking out, trying to be resourceful with my money. Growing up, I remember that my parents would sit down once a month with all of their checks and bills and write out bills and sitting there struggling and trying to make ends meet. But when I was younger, I was saying, that's not cool. So it's one of those things. I started the YouTube channel because even when I got married, I'll always tell my wife, like, yeah, like this is how we can save here. This is how we can save here. And and some of my friends were like, "Oh wow, can you tell me that again?" But it's just one of those things that I started my YouTube channel not because of the possibility, like, oh, okay, you get this many subscribers, this many watch hours, you monetize. But it's one of those things as it's an old song that says, if I can help somebody, then my living shall not be in vain. When you start putting information and sowing into other people's life, that's what gives your life purpose. And I'm a giver, and I love to give and just see other people succeed, because I'm not here. I don't have what I have because of my own, but it's because other people in my life sowed into my life, that they believed in what I could do and my possibilities and the knowledge that people shared with me. And I worked at a place, and a lot of the people that I was serving, they were wealthy. And one guy, one day, and I will never remember, I mean, I will never forget this. Anything, he like drove Teslas, big house, no debt. And he was always there to volunteer and things like that. So I asked him one day, what is it that you're doing that I'm not doing? And that's he pretty much told me, Joshua, and that's where I got the money thing. He said, you need to start having your money to work for you and stop trying to work for money. And I was like, oh, really? So and that's how I was introduced to passive income, paying off debt, um, living on way less than you make. And that way, whenever my daughter texted me the other day and said, Dad, I want to go to New York, I can honestly say, yes, we can go. I told her, hey, let's plan. That was before the pandemic. So now we're really going to plan and watch stuff like that. But I was like, hey, let's go. So that's the type of frugal life I'm talking about. Is I mean, if people want to jump into dumpsters, they call it dumpster diving. Hey, go for it. I'm not knocking dumpster divers, but that's not me. It's just one of those things. I never pay full price for something. If my wife was on right now, she could tell you I'm the person who would still go to the car dealership. So I'm not looking for some car that's going to break down whenever I drive off the lot. But I would go to the car dealership and sit there and haggle and talk to the people for 8 hours. I just got her a new car, a $26,000 car, which after talking and negotiating, got it for 16. Nothing was wrong with it. But it's just one of those things that being frugal is also about being patient. You have to be patient in order to get what you want, because it's the foolish man, not calling anybody a fool, but it's the foolishness in people who have that I want it now mentality. So therefore they go out and they will overspend on it, that they will do all of this stuff that they it might be like this can here. I'm just using this as an example. Great stuff, by the way. Um, like it might be worth $5, okay? But somebody say, I want it now, so I'm gonna give you 100 for it. I mean, and honestly, that's what people are doing whenever they buy cars and buy all of this other stuff. That they want it now, so they will be talked into a corner. But the thing is, whenever that car was $26,000, and I told the person I wasn't gonna pay, okay, that I wasn't gonna pay over 16 for it. I think I actually walked out with 16.1 because they didn't want to give me what I wanted. And a few times they were like, "Oh, Josh, I don't know if we can do that." So I was like, "Okay, well, my family and I were about to go." And but the thing is, after about 7.5, 8 hours later, they was like, "Here, just take it for the 16.1." And so it's just, and yes, so being patient is all about being frugal. So that's what this channel is more about. Um, you would never ever see me say, okay, go on a spending freeze for a year and go jump in a dumpster behind Walmart and see what you can find. Oh wow, it's got holes in it. Let me like I said, I'm not throwing those type of frugal people shade. However, because that's what they do, and I don't infringe on other people's lifestyles, not unless you're living in my house. But the thing is, I don't have to live with people who jump in dumpsters. So if that's how they do, like I said, I'm not knocking it. That's just what they do. So yeah, so that's what this channel is really about. It's just making those conscious decisions based on common sense. One of my videos, I did a interview with my grandma. She's 100 years old, been living a frugal lifestyle. Like I said, not cheap, but a frugal lifestyle for most of her life. 100 years old, and she's still sharp as a nail. And that's something that she taught me, that when you're cheating somebody, you're not cheating nobody but yourself. So when you're trying to be cheap, you're only cheating yourself. But be frugal, you're doing yourself a favor, just to make sure that you are making good choices, not only for you, but for your family. I mean, so that's like what it's really about here. And this is my daughter Jessie. Come here, Jessie. You want to tell everybody hello? Talking about family here. Yeah, so like she is the reason that I do what I do. Um, you coming to play or something? I want more time to watch. She's asking for more time to watch something. All right. Yeah, but see, okay, there you go. What do you say? Oh yes, Jesse. Yep, that's one of my babies, and I did a video 2 weeks ago about my why, and y'all, that's my why, and your why is the reason for living, the reason that you don't want to work for somebody else for the rest of your life. I mean, I know a lot of people out there love what they do for a living, but it's one of those things where I don't want to be married to my job. I want to be married to my family, my wife, and spend that quality time with my family. So, yep. I'm reading here, anonymous hitman. Sometimes when you have more money in your life, it's like that old saying. Is it a movie? I think more money, more problems. I think more money, more problems. But yeah, But I and it's one of those things too that a lot of people out there, and I'm not saying that anonymous hitman is, because he seemed like a great guy, small business owner that's still even worried about his 14 employees. So I mean that's awesome. But when you focus on giving your customers, don't focus on the money. But even whenever I do different things, I used to give. All right, thank you so much, Wyatt, for coming in. Thank you so much. It really mean a lot. Make sure you hit that subscribe button before you go if you haven't already done so. That would mean so much to me. Um, but I was reading this book called The Go Giver, and that's a book that I would highly recommend. But it's pretty much talking about in order to, and that's an easy read too. The Go Giver by somebody. Uh, I don't have the book on me, and I can't. My mind went blank with the name. But when you start focusing on giving people quality service, then the money will follow. But the problem that I see sometimes is people go out there and they start chasing the money, and they forsake the service portion. So therefore, if they're making money, but they're not really building that relationship with people. And yeah, so once you start providing value to people, that's whenever they will begin to trust you. And therefore, if the money will follow in. So, yep. All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much. I don't want to rush off or anything. I'm quarantined for like the next week or so. So, uh, but yeah, feel free to chat away. All right. All right. Well, thank y'all so much. I'm about to go play with my daughter. She was coming in, want me to unlock her phone so she can play with me. So, hashtag family first. Thank you so much, Coach. And I'll hope to see you on the next one. Make sure that if y'all haven't already done so, go on that thumbs up. That would be awesome. All right. Have a great one.